Just take a quick look around you right now. The shirt you're wearing, the coffee in your mug, the phone or computer you're watching this on, where did all that stuff come from? The answer is probably a dozen different countries. Wow, that crazy journey, that's what we're talking about today. It's all thanks to this massive force we call globalization.
I mean, seriously, just think about it for a second. Your phone. It's an insane puzzle of global teamwork. It's a mind-boggling feat of coordination that has totally reshaped our world. So how is that even possible? Let's dig in and figure it out.
So what's the official definition? Well, at its heart, globalization is all about connection. It's about countries getting more and more interconnected. But, it's way more than just stuff being shipped around. It's this huge, complicated web of production, money, technology, and ideas, all flowing across the entire planet.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at the main player in this whole story, the real engine driving this global factory floor. And that is the multinational corporation.
So what exactly is a multinational corporation, or MNC? It's not just some company that sells its stuff in other countries. No. An MNC is a company that actually makes its stuff all over the world. They set up factories, offices, you name it, wherever they can get the best deal. Cheaper labor, specific resources, or brand new markets. At the end of the day, it's all about making things as efficiently as possible.
So how does this actually work? Let's follow a gadget on its trip down this global assembly line. Okay, so an MNC might dream up its cool new product in a research center, maybe in the US. Then they shoot those designs over to China, where the parts can be made for way less money. From there, all those little components get shipped to, say, Mexico for final assembly, because, hey, it's super close to the giant American market. And what happens when you have a problem with it? Well, your call probably gets bounced to a call center in India. It's a truly planet-spanning operation. And that last part, the customer service from India, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. It shows that globalization isn't just about physical things. It's also about services. You have this pool of smart, English-speaking young people in a country like India, and they become a vital link in the chain for a company that's literally on the other side of the world. So you might be asking, why bother with all this hassle? I mean, shipping things all over the planet? The answer is, well, it's pretty simple. Money. A lot of it. By setting up production this way, a company can slash its costs by a whopping 50 to 60%. That is a massive, massive incentive to go global. Right. So this crazy level of connection didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It really got turbocharged by two huge changes that happened towards the end of the 20th century. Let's take a look at the two engines that really fired up modern globalization. Okay, so on the one hand, you've got technology. Think giant container ships, cargo planes, and of course, the big one, the internet. All this stuff made it way faster and cheaper to physically move things and share information across the globe. Then, on the other hand, you have policy. Around the early 90s, governments all over the world started knocking down barriers to trade, things like taxes on imports or rules against foreign companies. This policy, called Liberalization, basically opened the floodgates for international business. But here's the thing. As this new global system started to take over, the impact wasn't the same for everybody. For some people, it brought incredible opportunities. But for others, it brought some really tough challenges. It's really a tale of two different worlds. So let's talk about the winners first. If you're a consumer, especially in a wealthier country, globalization is pretty awesome, right? You get way more choices, better quality stuff, and lower prices on pretty much everything. And if you're a big company, It means brand new markets to sell to and slick new ways to make your products for less. And this is where you really see the two sides of the coin. On one hand, a success story, right? A major car company building cars in India to sell all over the world. But on the other, you see the power dynamic at play. If workers in one factory demand better pay or safer conditions, the MNC can just say, fine, we'll pack up and move the factory to another country. That gives them a huge amount of power. And it's not just workers who feel this pressure. Think about small, local businesses. They often just can't keep up with the massive scale and low prices of a giant MNC. So they either go out of business or they're forced to become just another cog in the machine, assembling parts for the very corporations that put them in that spot. To really see what this feels like, let's zoom in on one person's story. So this is Ravi. Back in 1992, he was doing great. He started his own company making these things called capacitors for TVs, and he had 20 people working for him. His business was booming. But then in 2001, his government opened up the market as part of a trade agreement. All of a sudden, he was competing with imported capacitors that cost half as much as his. His business just got crushed. He had to let most of his employees go. Ravi's story is a powerful example of the real human cost this wave of competition can have on small local producers. Ravi's story really makes you ask a crucial question. Who's making the rules for this new global game? And more importantly, are those rules actually fair? This brings us to the organizations that are supposed to be the referees of global trade. Okay, so the main rulemaker on the block is the World Trade Organization. You've probably heard of it, the WTO. It was started mainly by developed countries, and its stated goal is to free up international trade. And listen, its rules aren't just suggestions. They're mandatory for more than 150 member countries. And this is where a huge debate kicks off. Is the WTO really fair? On one side, you have the developed countries, and they're all about free trade. They say barriers are bad for everyone. But on the other side, developing countries are often saying, hold on a minute, this feels like a one-way street. They argue that they're being forced to open up their markets, while the rich of countries get to keep protections for their own important industries. Yeah, this visual, it pretty much says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling that so many people in the developing world have, that they're stuck playing a game where the rules are rigged from the start to favor the wealthy and powerful. And this isn't just a feeling. There are concrete examples. Take farming in the US. The US government gives its farmers huge amounts of money in subsidies. This lets them sell their products, like cotton or corn, on the world market for super low prices, prices that are artificially low. Well, what does that do? It can completely wipe out farmers in poorer countries who just can't compete. So the question is that really free trade? That's the core of the whole argument. Okay, so it's pretty clear that globalization isn't going anywhere. So the big question now becomes, how do we make it more fair? The fight isn't about trying to stop it, it's about trying to shape it so that more people actually see the benefits. So what does a path to a fairer system even look like? Well, there are a few key things that could be done. First, governments can actually enforce their own labor laws, making sure workers get their rights. They can also support small producers, people like Ravi, to help them compete. They could even use trade barriers when they need to protect important local industries from being wiped out. And a really big one, developing countries can team up at the WTO, negotiate as one powerful group to push back against the dominance of the wealthier nations and argue for fairer rules for everyone. And that's really the end goal here. It's not about trying to go back in time. It's about building a global system where the incredible opportunities that are created are shared much more widely. A system that lifts everybody up, not just a handful at the top. So, that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. Globalization has connected us all in ways that would have been unimaginable just a generation or two ago. The challenge for us, for everyone, is to figure out how to manage this new interconnected world so that its incredible benefits don't just flow to a few, but are shared by all of us. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's get started with our first question. What is the main characteristic of a multinational company, or MNC? Okay, let's check the answer. The correct one is C. It is a company that owns or controls production in more than one nation. Moving on to the next one. What are the 3 types of flows mentioned in international economic exchanges? Did you get it right? The correct answer is B, flow of trade, labor, and capital. Here's question number 3 for you. What exactly is foreign investment by an MNC? And the answer is D. It's the money spent to buy assets like land and machines in another country. All right, a question about a specific case. Which American MNC bought the Indian company Parak Foods? Let's see if you knew this one. The correct answer is C, Cargill Foods. Okay, this one is about a specific year. In which year did Ford Motors come to India and set up a plant near Chennai? And the correct year is B, 1995. Let's think about the past for a moment. What was the main channel that connected different countries? The correct answer here is C, trade. That was the primary connection. Here is your next question. What is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between countries called? And the answer is, of course, D, globalization. All right, let's dig a little deeper. Which of these has been a major factor in stimulating the globalization process? The right answer is B, rapid growth of technology. Okay, what about this one? According to the text, what is an example of a trade barrier? Let's reveal the answer. It's C, a tax on imports. Next up, a definition question. What does the term liberalization mean in the context of trade? And the correct definition is C, removing trade barriers set by the government. Here's another question about a key moment in India. Around which year did the Indian government start removing barriers on foreign trade and investment? That pivotal year was B, 1991. Okay, let's talk about a major global body. What is the main aim of the World Trade Organization, or WTO? The main goal and the correct answer is C, to liberalize international trade. How about this one? Which of the following is an example of an Indian company that has become a multinational? I hope you got this one right. The answer is C, Tata Motors. Next question. What are the special industrial zones with world-class facilities set up to attract foreign investment called? These zones are known as B Special Economic Zones, or SEZs. All right, here's our final question. Which 2 institutions are together referred to as the World Bank? And the correct answer is B, IBRD and IDA. For more videos and MCQs, please subscribe our channel.